Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing fantastic and that you're all having a wonderful day. As always, leaving a like, leaving a comment or multiple comments helps out the channel immensely with my algorithm. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. A very weird-ish period within the cryptocurrency space. Of course, as always, I will be elaborating further. I've been in the cryptocurrency market for a couple of cycles now, and I've noticed that we have a lot of new people in the market, people who have maybe only been here since around mid and or end of 2021. Of course, we have a lot of regulars, if you will, who are also here. Hello to everyone out there who's been following the channel for the last 6 and or 7 years. What's currently happening, for those of you who do not know, is just a normal cycle. How do I explain it in the nicest way? Over the last decade or so, the amount of wealthy individuals within the cryptocurrency space has risen. And I don't mean people who have made their riches from crypto. Of course, they are included. But these are people who are very wealthy. These are the already multimillionaires and or billionaires who years ago told us that once again, cryptocurrencies were garbage. No one uses them. What's the point of them? Why do we have Bitcoin? The same people who tried to coin the terms blockchain, not Bitcoin, a number of years ago. They've been accumulating quite heavily. And if you were here in late 2020, 2021, with the Wyckoff chart and all that other stuff that was going on, these people have such a huge amount of cryptocurrencies that they basically know how to, like every other market, understand that, how to move our market. And one of the main ways that they make sure to flush out newbies is by making sure that prices go lower. There are mathematical ways to be able to do this that will allow you as a wealthy individual to accumulate more while also pushing prices down. What pushing prices down does for the vast majority of people in all markets, it causes them to sell their coins. Now, you might have noticed over the last 2 weeks or so, when we've been seeing this really weird price movements within the cryptocurrency market, I haven't panicked. I haven't made a video where I'm like, oh my gosh, woe is us, what's happening? There may have been other ridiculous things that I ranted about because the cryptocurrency space is completely out of its mind at this point. However, the entire point, and I know this is going to sound crazy, and the only way that you will understand this in the future is when Bitcoin is roughly around $50,000 to $60,000, whenever that might be. Can't give you a date, can't give you a time, can't give you any of that. But understand that. You'll understand when the price is once again out of reach or higher than you sold and you are no longer able to buy into your previous position. You will get that this is all because they're basically making sure that they accumulate all the Bitcoin for themselves. When I make videos on here and on my other channel, Money Rules, hello to everyone who's been watching, and I tell you nearly daily in these videos, whales are buying. Someone else just bought 15,000 Bitcoin. There's another wallet who's been accumulating for the last 7 years. They bought 14,000 Bitcoin. And we see the accumulation increase only as prices continue to drop. And then we had the other news. This was a couple of weeks ago. I believe over 80% of all Bitcoin, that is 80% of all Bitcoin in existence, is now held by whales. Is now held by wallets holding over 100 Bitcoin or more, who have either never sold and or not sold within the past year, and they're only continuing to accumulate. So I needed that as like a bit of a foreground for everything that we're going to be talking about, because this is another one of those moments in cryptocurrency history. We have them all the time. We had it in 2019. We had it in 2020. Where people begin to pay less attention to the market because they don't see it pumping, which is, the word's not ironic. The word is, I can't find it in my head. People tend to not pay attention to markets when they're falling, not understanding that that could have been the moment where they purchased up assets for a lot cheaper. people tend to, the vast majority of people, rush after the asset when they see that the price is going up, not realizing that over the last 2 years, they could have bought 30 times as much if they had. You understand? This is where we currently are. And once again, I know it's going to sound crazy. It sounds completely normal if you've been here for a while. But to all the new people, I have a couple of friends as well who were really into crypto in 2021. They don't even touch the market anymore because they're waiting for it to go back up. And I have dinners with them and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. If you are expecting the market to go back up, you would purchase when prices are lower. You've had a 2-year period to be able to do so, but human psychology tells other people, not me, to purchase when it seems like it's nearly out of reach. And I don't, that's kind of just, anyway. So yeah, there's a lot of bear market news, prices falling down news. How much into the bear market is Bitcoin? Will it get more bearish? Is Bitcoin going down to 24,000? I saw one article saying that Bitcoin was going down to 20,000. How much more bearish could it possibly be? Struggle continues for Bitcoin as price breaks key support level. I think we've relatively gotten back to a point in the cryptocurrency market where people are forgetting that the real world also revolves around us. A lot of times in crypto, a lot of people are in a bit of an echo chamber and forget that life is happening all around us and what other financial mistakes are also happening around the world. They also tend to influence the cryptocurrency market as well. For those of you who missed it, a couple of days ago, Jerome Powell, the guy who runs the Fed, the people who print money within the United States, basically announced that he was thinking that there may have to be another interest rate hike. Now, we've gone over this. It's been almost 2 years, and now I understand not everyone on the planet is watching my channel. Everybody else wants to watch the other hypey coin channels, but you have understood quite easily as I am speaking American English that there was going to be another interest rate hike because we have been hearing from Jerome Powell for nearly 2 years that this was going to happen, especially even this summer, that there would be more interest rate hikes and or they would not be lowering interest rates. That's the really important one. For those of you not looking at the screen, it says Bitcoin to the US dollar consolidates amid higher for longer outlook after Powell's speech. Yeah, he basically came forward and was like, we may have to raise interest rates once or twice more this year, and then they're going to have to remain that way. For some reason, a lot of news was floating around, even around March. Remember March when we heard that interest rates would stop rising from CNBC and ABC and all these other things out there, was that they would not be lowering interest rates anytime soon. That just goes with complete logic. If they're trying to cool down markets and they're trying to make sure that inflation does not come back ripping and roaring, you have to keep interest rates higher for longer. However, the stock market and the cryptocurrency market didn't like this news, and therefore prices began to fall once again as if we had not already heard that this was going to happen. It says crypto is in its longest bear market ever, at 490 days, but when will it end? No one knows. If anyone tells you that they know when this is going to end, they're lying to you. Because if you notice, every single video I make sure, and I say this in every video as well, I show you the news. We go over the news. I am not predicting. I am not telling you when something is going to happen. I am not giving you a date. A lot of people, I think, and I don't say this in a joking way, get some air. I'm not sure if you need to open a window, have the air circulate in your house, in your home, or simply just go on a walk. Maybe on a treadmill. That's not, I mean, like, get some actual air flowing into your lungs. And I say that because I think people aren't understanding the idea of me giving you news and also being like, well, TMI said that this was going to. No, you have to. Once again, I said at the beginning of this video, and I've said it many other times, I think everyone's slowly losing their mind because I think of the anticipation of what is going to happen, and also because of all the macroeconomic issues that we have going on. I've seen so much anger and so much fury on Twitter, not even just on to me, but to anyone else who is a content creator. And heaven forbid, should it be any other type of project that's actually out there. We are in unprecedented times. This is not a joke at all. You've seen what's been going on. I think a lot of people tend to make sure that they don't look at news, absorb news. I'm usually in that group as well because a lot of the news can be terrible. But you must be hearing what's going on. You must be seeing what's actively happening to the world and to economics. Like we are on the, and I don't want to use the word cusp, we are very close to like nearly breaking the entire system that we've had for such a long time. Like everything seems to be going wrong. And this prolonged bear market that we're in is a result of the terrible economic policies that we've had for a number of decades. This is why Bitcoin was created. The idea of Bitcoin was like, hey, let's create a brand new economic system that doesn't have to deal with the old one. But that's another topic entirely. So basically, Michael van der Puppe was recently in the news, and everyone was like, oh, I guess that makes a lot of sense. He basically was like, yeah, it's a very long bear market. We're all in this together. Bear markets, I think, typically last for around 200 days. There's like a little chart somewhere around here. Yeah. 386 days, 204 days, 37 days was one right here as well. And we're currently in this 490-day period. A lot of this has to do with constant expectations of what could potentially happen. And once again, people not looking at what's currently happening around the world. So if you continue to ignore logic and what's happening, and the people from the Fed saying we're going to raise interest rates, they're going to remain higher longer, and you look at the market and go, well, why isn't it moving? You just had the actual answer right there. Also tying into, there's just so many like really weird things happening within the cryptocurrency space, tying directly into everything that we've been talking about. For those of you who missed the video, I think it was yesterday or the day before, there's too much. There's way too much hype right now around the idea of a Bitcoin ETF. I started saying that around 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now I'm like, cool, I'm just openly saying it because I think people need to actually take a breather and get it together. The idea of a Bitcoin ETF right now seems like, the top of the mountain filled with gold. A lot of people think that this is the only way that Bitcoin's price will move. It is not. Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptocurrency market will be fine. This is always how it is before we have a halving. It is the same situation every single time. Prices go lower, we have the halving, prices go higher, everyone forgets about the bad times. However, we are currently wrapped up in this terrible digital burrito where multiple companies have applied for a physical Bitcoin ETF because they're trying to basically follow in the footsteps of BlackRock. It makes total sense. We all assume that, at least for a time, that BlackRock, being the largest company on the planet, will get approved for a Bitcoin ETF. I told all of you I've stopped holding my breath simply because it's like I'm blue in the face, like I'm quite lightheaded, waiting for these things to happen. If they happen, hooray. If they don't, Bitcoin will still be fine. However, a lot of price justification and movements right now are floating around this idea. You've seen it the last couple of weeks in the news. A lot of people are assuming that the only reason why Bitcoin went above 30,000 a couple of weeks ago was because of BlackRock. And the idea that I think 2 Bitcoin ETFs have been delayed, that people are saying, well, that's the reason why other people are selling because they see no ETF in the future. Why are you basing a decentralized currency off of what the SEC is saying? And that's like a broad message for everyone. That's not anyone, like I'm not like pointing the finger at any of you. It's more of why is it that every single time, like why does, whatever. I was going to say, why does an orange have to have value because you're able to like make orange juice with it? Like we know that Bitcoin is good. It's fine. It's being used. Like the price will go up mathematically because that's the way that the halving works when it comes to like the difficulty and mining and how much more electricity has to be put inside of it and the price of Bitcoin. And we went over that a couple of days ago as well. In the news right now that everyone thinks is the most important thing on this planet is that Grayscale, I think at the beginning of this year or the end of last year, tried to get their Grayscale Bitcoin Trust converted into a Bitcoin ETF. The SEC said no. Grayscale launched a lawsuit against the SEC to get their Grayscale Bitcoin Trust transferred into an ETF. We had news at the end of last week, and therefore one of my recent videos is that it was believed that sometime relatively soon there would be a ruling in the case Grayscale versus SEC, and therefore if it was ruled in the favor of Grayscale, their Grayscale Bitcoin Trust would be then converted into a physical Bitcoin ETF, regardless of what the SEC had to say. However, also in the news today is that apparently the decision has once again been delayed, and it looks like Tuesday may be when there is an actual answer. And when I said go outside and get some air, it's because I know how wrapped up in the news people can get. I was this way years ago. I was one of those people who checked prices 5 times every hour. If prices went up by 1%, I was elated. If they went down by 2%, I was having a terrible day. And I'm sure some of you are shaking your heads right now, or you have a friend in the background who's like, yeah, I remember you doing that, because that's the way that the cryptocurrency market works. It's okay to go out, like the market will still be there on Friday. The cryptocurrency market is literally not going to disappear and dissipate and become dust because you're not looking at your screen all the time. I think people need to take a break and come back from a more relaxed perspective, and then you'll understand what's actually happening within the cryptocurrency market and how this could be a great opportunity for people who've been in the market or are trying to actually make some really good profits as the cryptocurrency market ends up going back up. Stock futures right now are currently going a little bit higher. For some reason, September is usually believed to be a great month for crypto and for the stock market. It's not always that way. We had this discussion last year, and I believe we had it in 2020 as well. As you know, the world was in a bit of a ruckus. The idea is that most people take holiday and or go on vacation in July and August, and therefore they're not paying as much attention to markets as they normally would. However, as September rolls back in and people go back to work, go back to their normal lives, they begin to think about money once again. They start investing more. Money pumps into the markets. Prices go back up. This is the general usual idea. It's not always true, but September usually can be a very good time. But I refrain from even mentioning or thinking that September could be anything else but another month that's simply on a calendar. Because at this point, markets will not move until we have heard definitively from the Fed that they are going to raise interest rates and then stop it for at least a year. For whatever reason, we are heavily intertwined into the stock market and to the traditional financial market. And therefore, we do not have much of a choice as to when our market is going to move unless we develop this consciousness that we had years ago within the cryptocurrency space, that Bitcoin was separate from every other financial market, which it is and it should be. And that regardless of, or no, actually not even regardless, is that when the normal traditional financial market does terribly, we do well. That's what it was years ago, and that's where we're not going to get back to, because everyone is in this really weird, misty, foggy space within their head. That is currently all the price news that we have. Prices are down. I saw some articles talking about the devastation of Cardano. How can XRP ever recover from this? Is Ethereum heading back down to 1,200? This coin looks like it's going to 1 cent, and I'm like, geez, man, like the doom and gloom is quite strong in the market right now. That's the money financial news that we have at the moment. We'll see what ends up happening with the market. We don't have a choice. Time has to move forward. I assume October is when things will begin to solidify themselves a little bit more. We need to hear when the next Fed interest rate hike is, if it's going to be the last. And I think we actually need September to pass by because September is usually known as such a hype month. I think we need actual organic movements in the market and not simply hyper amounts of speculation. Yeah, that's all the price news. Okie dokie. Let's move on. I don't really know what to say anymore. Another decentralized finance protocol or DeFi protocol known as Balancer suffered an exploit attack for nearly $1 million, 900K, in just a few days after a critical vulnerability was discovered. For those of you who don't know, I don't like DeFi. You may love it. That's wonderful for you and your portfolio. However, since DeFi has been or was created, it's just been absolute garbage. And I know you may suck your teeth or roll your eyes and say, well, I made a huge amount of money. Well, that's wonderful because the other protocols continue to collapse. They continue to be exploited. People continue to lose money. And the problem is that these things are touted as decentralized. That is to say, no one can break in, no one can harm them as long as we have a strong enough community, as long as we have tons of nodes, as long as we have tons of validators, and no one controls the network. Therefore, no one can gain an advantage over it and take it over and steal money from it. But it's happened every single time to, I think, every single DeFi one. And the thing that made me really, and I barely had any, lose any faith that I had in the DeFi space was when the SEC began to go after DeFi companies or DeFi protocols within the space. And these DeFi protocols actually settled with and paid money to the SEC. Well, that's weird. How would a protocol be able to pay the SEC? It's because it's usually just people in an office. Nearly all of these protocols are made up of people sitting in an office somewhere, announcing that they have a new DeFi, something for you to use to make quick gains. The people don't know what they're doing when they're coding. There aren't that many nodes. There's maybe only a couple, and it's spread across the friend group who actually made the DeFi protocol. The thing ends up going down, and they go, well, that's weird. I don't know. We're going to make sure to get this under control because that's insanely weird. There were dozens of DeFi companies who got in trouble, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Yesterday, the company explained to its users, that it suffered an attack and that it would be working to mitigate the effects of it, It says Balancer is aware of an exploit related to the vulnerability below. Mitigation procedures have drastically reduced risks, but are unable to pause affected pools. To prevent further exploits, users must withdraw from the affected LPs. And then there's a little thing right there. This was major news today as people were talking about it because it keeps happening multiple times per week. This one just happened to be a more popular one. I don't use Balancer, but I would assume that it is large enough that it was able to get into the news dozens of times today as people were like, well, Balancer is gigantic. How did that actually happen? Please stop putting your money into these brand new, trying to be nice here, protocols. I was going to say pieces of trash, but protocol is the word that I'll use, that are made by companies. This was my issue a couple of years ago within the cryptocurrency space where we had tons of, I used to call them corporation coins or company coins like Tezos and Solana, all these coins, and there are many others. These coins were made by companies. These coins were made by larger institutions who decided to release something and say that it was decentralized. They make all the money, and from the fees in the background, they keep releasing stuff that they tell you is safe and okay under the premise of decentralization. You keep using it, you keep losing money, and then wondering why it keeps happening because they keep creating things where they tell you you can chase easy, quick, fast money. These are new forms of pyramid schemes. I don't know how to say it any other way. It's absolutely ridiculous what's happening within the space. So I hope that this decentralized protocol that no one controls, the point of decentralization is that no one controls it. You all understand that, right? Like, it's the vast majority of you who have to come together and literally hold digital hands to be able to make a movement within the space. This is why whenever you hear that there's a new upgrade for Bitcoin, you need 60 to 70+% of the network to agree on what's actually happening. So I ask all of you to always be cautious of where you're putting your money in the cryptocurrency space, but even more so, the more DeFi things that continue to pop up, the more exploits that there are, the more people that continue to lose their money. I just sincerely hope that it's not you. Yeah, very unpopular. I don't know what to even call this news from Balancer, as they had an exploit. Okay. Let's move on. Also in destructively popular news, like I couldn't believe it. Shibarium, the Shiba Inu layer 2 scaling solution, has now been officially relaunched for public use after days of operating within private mode. This is according to their developer Satoshi Kusama. We went over this about 4 or 5 days ago. Apparently, Shiba Inu launched their layer 2 scaling solution that they've been talking about since like 1875. It worked for about a good 2.5 hours. It had a bunch of hiccups. They stopped it. And then I think it was only in like testnet mode or whatever they said was actually going on. The news this morning that this thing has turned back on, has relaunched, caused everyone to go into a complete frenzy. And apparently it's one of the coolest things that has ever happened within the cryptocurrency space. According to Kusama on a blog post published today, the 28th of August, Shibarium now has more than 65,000 wallets and 350,000 transactions. Records on Shiba Inu Scan, the Shibarium Explorer, indicate that the network restarted block production on the 24th of August. Fantastic. Kusama acknowledged and appreciated the efforts of Polygon, Unification, and various blockchain developers in getting the network back on track. He asked a couple of days ago for help from the public, or from like people within the space and developers, to help them get everything going. Here's the thank you right here. On the funds and bridge, the lead developer said the funds are safe and the bridge is working. He said that based on design, SHIB, leash, and wrapped ETH withdrawals through the bridge can take anywhere from 45 minutes, 3 hours, and withdrawals for Bone, that is to say the other coin within their ecosystem, may take up to 7 days. That is SEVENDAYS for the withdrawal of a coin. Very popular news. It was all over the place. Everyone's talking about it. I understand being happy for a protocol that you like, that's once again up and running. Let's hope it continues to work. Shiba Inu, at least last year, was one of kind of like the golden childs within the cryptocurrency space, in that people, after the fall of Terra Luna and the subsequent birth of Terra Luna Classic, those two coins, it was believed that they would reach new heights in the cryptocurrency space at some point. Shiba Inu is meant to be not only the word rival doesn't even go for it. They think that Shiba Inu is like an entire ecosystem that Dogecoin could never reach and or never match, and therefore new amazing wonderful things for the cryptocurrency space. I have no idea how small or large the actual team behind it is, so I assume this is why they were asking for outside help. But yes, one of the biggest news stories of the day is that apparently their layer 2 scaling solution is now open for the public and people can use it once again. So I hope if you're using it, I hope that it works. I hope you can get your money into it and or your money out of it, depending on how you're trying to play the market. That's the Shiba Inu news. And yeah, let's move on. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Jimmy Jim, American Crypto Academy, Bodie McBoatface, Sam Ratter, Dotha Diddy, Manny Cryptos, Crypto Gambino, Auspicious Agile and Blockchain, Jamie Saad, and let's move on, Empire Queen, Roman Geba, Bitcoin Ben, Arachno Dave, The Dealer's Den, Captain Something and the Z-Way, Lay, Mo Barazi, VB Nerd 21, Lauren De Silva, Quoted Biddy, Troy Allgood, Space Case, Nita Miracle, Paternoster, Navarro Williams, Utopia 569, Moonman High, XRP, Nostromo, John Sarson, The Anima Rita, A Bibliophobia, Adam Graysick, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Cold 3D, Setsuna, Paxis, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Yes to Crypto, Anytime Fitness, Monks, Corner Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigger Macho Nisa, and On Crypto with Lionel. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who has left a like, who has left a comment, or who has subscribed. I do thank all of you for that. At the moment, Bitcoin is currently at $25,900. It is down by 0.64%. Nothing is like dramatically down. There's no 15%. There's no 38%. We have a lot of 1 and 2% downs, which is fairly common for a lull period within the cryptocurrency market. If things were down by 18% every single day, I'd be making a very different video. But things aren't as catastrophic as people would like you to believe. I don't know if we're going to get any good news from the Grayscale versus SEC thing, which is apparently going to happen tomorrow. This is what they're expecting, some kind of an answer from the judge tomorrow. I don't even know the legal ramifications of the judge being able to override the SEC and force them to allow Grayscale to have an ETF. It's kind of weird. Grayscale, for like 4 days ago, wrote on their Twitter that they're hiring more people for their ETF team, as if they like already know that they've won the lawsuit. It's just very, very weird time within this space. Nothing too crazy within the top 50. Internet Computer is down by 4%. Arbitrum is down by 3%. Near Protocol is down by 3%. Yeah, nothing too crazy. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do sincerely hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.